I've seen the worst movie possibly ever made, and today you're gonna learn about it. Love All You Have Left is a nasty little amateur movie made in 2017 by Matt Sivertson, a man who looks freakishly like hbomb guy. The story follows a woman who has recently lost her daughter in a school shooting. The key to her healing is, of course, finding Anne Frank in her attic.
How did you get in here? Where do you come from?
Looks to me like there's only one way in or out.
But let's zoom out of that for a second though, because I want to talk about the wider landscape of Anne Frank media. Anne Frank interpretation is an interesting topic, one that happens a lot, and one that Ari Folman, the director of Waltz with Bashir, clearly had in mind when he made the 2021 animated movie Where is Anne Frank? The movie draws direct parallels between the persecution of the Franks and the contemporary persecution of refugees, and considers her story one that can essentially guide us towards addressing these kinds of injustices.
There's no way I'm talking to German police. No, just forget it.
Ah, I get it. In that case, I'll direct you to the non-German police.
See some ID, sir. Get in the truck. Come on.
I have mixed feelings on this movie, but I do think it sets out to challenge the kind of passive and trite interpretations of Anne Frank's diary that can be perpetuated by a lot of the media made about her.
Ultimately, deep inside, I believe that human beings are good in their hearts. Liar! Anne never said that.
But I don't love that the girl personification of Anne Frank's diary gets a boyfriend.
Kitty! 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 Kitty!
I don't know about that one, I don't know. Strange movie, flawed. But we're not really here to talk about a movie I thought was okay. We're here to talk about one of the nastiest movies ever made. Love All You Have Left. The movie starts with a nearly silent scene, not before. We see the Dongo Productions logo though, which is a surefire sign that we're in for a good time. A husband and wife are having a fun home video time with their daughter. The family leave their home and the parents enter again, this time daughterless and dressed in black. We flash forward a year and the wife, Juliet, asks her husband to pick up some more of her medication.
I'm almost out of it. Do you mind picking some up on your way home?
He, however, thinks she should stop taking it.
It's been almost a year since Melanie died. I don't think those things help you very much. Are you sure you want to keep taking them?
Later, the couple have a discussion about the trajectory of rebuilding their lives, and we get one of the best lines in the movie. Juliet used to be a philosophy teacher, and her husband thinks she should return to it, but she says this.
Do you remember what I taught? The meaning of life.
So the husband's all like,
"You're not a nihilist."
something cute about that. Anyway, she breaks a glass to own her husband because she's kind of a goth queen.
What's its purpose now?
Now that we've established that Juliet needs to stop being sad and stop taking pills, her husband can exit the movie. He can go. And she can get on with her true task of finding Anne Frank, chilling in her home. By the way, if you notice that the house in the movie has strong Airbnb chic, it's fun to note that this was filmed in the director's house. So he loves that Eiffel Tower canvas. I can sense this. That is his favorite thing. He sees that every day and he thinks, I made a good decision. I should get more Eiffel Tower canvases. Actually, I found out, fun fact, the actress who plays Juliet is French, so it's even funnier. Good for her. This is her house. She has the Eiffel Tower. Good. So now we're 17 minutes into the movie and it's time for the Anne Frank Evil Eyes reveal.
Oh my god! How did you get in?
What is that? A demon? No, it's famed Holocaust victim Anne Frank. But it could have been a ghoul. Is Anne Frank the villain of this movie? But after this scene, she's just welcomed into the home. Everything's normal, everything's fine, everything's cool. Juliet's like, okay. Tragically though, with Anne's entrance, we are introduced properly to, I would say, the worst actor in the world.
These are very difficult times. There's so much misery in the world, but we must not focus on that.
It's an experience. There's a Joker energy here. She smiles way too much. It's not normal. I'm sensing the Joker within her. Now we get to know Anne Frank. We get to enjoy the wacky hijinks of Anne bonding with random woman. Anne reminds us that she doesn't have a phone.
We don't have a phone. We're in hiding.
Anne Frank discovers the electric toothbrush. Anne Frank snores.
I don't know anything about you except that you were living in my attic and that you snore in your sleep.
I do not.
After a little bit of bonding, Juliet starts to tell Anne about her dead daughter.
Sometimes it feels like she's still here, and other times I can barely remember her face. I wish I could sleep so I could dream about her, but nothing seems to help. Certainly not those pills.
Maybe you should stop taking them if they don't work.
And here the message of the movie is made very explicit.
Your family left everything behind and hid.
Yes, but we were fortunate to have a place to go. Others weren't so lucky.
You call that lucky? You did nothing wrong and had everything taken away from you, and you consider yourself fortunate.
I don't know. I mean, you never lose everything.
Think of the good things, guys. Think of the awesome parts of your life. Focus on the good stuff.
Love all you have left.
Maybe Anne Frank is a bit like the dragon from Pete's Dragon and could go on to visit different sad people and say, hey, check me out. I'm in the process of being hunted down and killed, but I'm feeling pretty good though. So, give me a smile. Anne Frank in this movie is like a doll that you pull the string on to hear affirmations. It's a really weird, reductive, creepy characterization. And I gotta ask, why? Why did this movie happen? This movie was actually screened at a Jewish film festival in San Diego, and I am desperate to hear what the reaction was.
Did anybody see it?
In a lot of the social media promos for the movies, they point out that it was inspired by the album In the Aeroplane Over the Sea by Neutral Milk Hotel, which I think is a really funny thing to just keep saying over and over again. Anyway, Nazi is also in the house now. I don't exactly know why. He never interacts with anyone or does anything. He's just a Nazi who sometimes is there. I think Anne's dreaming about him or something. I'm not exactly sure, but he's there. Next, we have a scene where Anne Frank goes into the garden and enjoys the sunflower there. And because the sunflower is a bit ugly, they didn't get a pristine one for the shot. I like to imagine that it's a nod to the neglect that Juliet is allowing to build up in her life as a result of dwelling and focusing on her trauma. She's neglected the sunflower too. What if the nasty sunflower had thematic relevance? This is the question you should always be asking with media. So at this point, while Juliet does seem fairly nonchalant about finding a random kid in her house, she has at least expressed some confusion and disbelief.
Your name is Anne Frank.
Yes, Annalise Frank.
Anne lies. I might believe Anne Frank. I don't.
Anne, however, has been in the movie for about 20 minutes at this point and hasn't really reacted. This turns out to be because Anne is the ultimate go-with-the-flow queen.
How are you doing with showing up magically in my house without explanation? You seem to be taking it in stride.
I suppose. I don't know why we feel the need to have an explanation for everything.
Now, it's time for our duo to talk philosophy. That's right. Philosophy time again. Let's go. So Juliet actually starts giving Anne some philosophy homework at this point, and I just can't believe it. Can you imagine discovering Anne Frank in your home, hanging out with her, coming to truly believe she is the real Anne Frank, metaphysically transported to your location alive, and then thinking, oh, okay, well, it's time to make her write an essay. That doesn't seem like a wholly normal reaction. Here they do a very Final Fantasy X style scream bonding scene where Anne shouts,
"Screw you, stupid Nazis!" How did that feel? It felt good.
Really good stuff. So here's what happens next. Juliet crawls back into her Duma hole through the Bible. She gives Anne a Bible assignment to interpret the book of Job. Anne says this:
"It's about the importance of keeping your faith in the face of adversity."
Juliet's not happy. Juliet comes back at Anne with a little bit of this.
The lesson behind the book of Job is that you shouldn't expect justice from God because he doesn't owe it to you.
Owned and destroyed. Their bonding continues further when Anne, noticing a little hole in Juliet's daughter's teddy bear, teaches her how to sew very, very badly, symbolically giving her the ability to mend her own psyche, although it kind of causes a spiral of madness to happen. Anne gets a little bit mad and she starts yelling,
You don't get to just do that.
Do what?
Just run away and hide every time it gets hard.
and at this moment, it's like Juliet's husband and Frank and the movie itself have morphed into one big blob, and they are all saying, "Move on, asshole.
You can't just hide in here. You can't just give up.
No more meds, no more tears. Let's have fun." So Juliet responds to this by doing the most freakishly cruel thing in the whole movie. She lashes out by showing Anne Frank her own diary, which reveals the simple, devastating fact that she's dead.
You and your family were taken by the Nazis. You died.
Can you imagine? Okay, Anne Frank's in your house. You just let her know that she doesn't make it. I don't think that was okay. I don't actually think that was okay. I don't think that was too good. This is maybe the only real indictment of Juliet that the movie really offers us. Up until now, it has seemed mostly like she's just having a hard time with grief. Yes, potentially holding herself back from moving forward, getting herself stuck. But reacting in a pretty reasonable way to a significant trauma and being kind of unsympathetically pestered by the people in her life. But in this moment, she literally wants to drag a dead Holocaust victim into the suffering with her. And it's interesting, but the movie just does not have the competency to take what could hit hard about this weird, edgy, awful moment and craft it into a real, complex examination of how grief can turn you inside out. Juliet at this point is mad. She's rageful. She doesn't want to be told anymore that she needs to change. So she throws something of a reversal at Anne. "You need help," she says.
You need help. Help I can't give you.
And then Anne comes out with the most goth line actually of the whole movie.
Dead people don't need help.
See, that's true. After having read her own diary, Anne finally remembers everything about her life and death. She remembers dying, which she awkwardly details.
I remember clutching my mother's arm, thinking how badly I treated her as the SS entered the building.
But she makes sure to assure us that it's totally cool and life still rocks.
But I also remember being alive. I mean, really alive. I remember joy and love and hope.
Depression cured, trauma healed, Anne Frank loved life and so do I. Thanks, doctor, for prescribing this movie. I'm mentally well. This is by far the worst moment of Love All You Have Left. The words of encouragement are in the vessel's mouth. The corpse speaks to us and says, "Feel good now." For all the controversy whereas Anne Frank faced for using her story as a springboard for discussing the hypocrisy of modern refugee persecution, Ari Folman's ambitious movie at heart believes Anne Frank is a worthy icon for anti-racism and compassion for marginalized people. It has a message which engages directly with the problem of fascism, completely unlike Love All You Have Left, a movie concerned mostly with empty noodling about our meaning, purpose, and sadness. To idolize Anne Frank for her apparent resilience and treat her as a weird happiness robot who is allowed to go to heaven now she's helped us all understand that even if bad stuff happens, we can be okay, is really weird. And Anne Frank's animated diary with a boyfriend disintegrates into ink in the end after all. I don't know what's going on with that, but isn't it a more evocative, interesting, thoughtful image? Yeah. To close the movie, we get some powerful, shaky, pill-taking shots, and it becomes clear that either this Anne Frank was essentially a suicidal dream, or Juliet entered some form of afterlife during her time conked out on mystery medicine and met the real ghost Anne Frank. Has Anne been a lost soul wandering purgatory since the 1940s? That's kind of horrible. The movie doesn't kind of think of that. I'm thinking of it though. Juliet sees her life flash before her eyes and she's able to see her daughter, who tells her,
"You have to let go, Mommy."
Before her husband then finds her and presumably takes her to a hospital off screen, and she'll be fine, she'll be okay. After this frenetic experience, we're treated to a calm final scene. We see Juliet in the future, recovered from the events of the movie. She holds a book and smiles at it. Then we see the very unfortunate looking vanity printed cover, and it turns out that she has written a book called The Philosophy of Loss. What could the philosophy of loss possibly B. Love what you have left isn't exactly a way of looking at the world. Yes, when going through grief, one piece of advice you might be given is to try and find ways to have gratitude for things that you still have despite your loss, but it's one extremely basic piece of the puzzle. Anyway, I just don't think the message that we should be taking from the diary of Anne Frank and her whole experience is like, life is beautiful, even though bad things happen. What an incredibly strange piece of media. I am a hater, and human creativity may have been a mistake. Bye.